All right, Malik here, and we're here to talk about Middle-earth: Shadow of War. We're here with Andy, who is the community manager of the game. How's it going, Andy?
It's going great. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you have a very theatric booth here, lots of smoke, and this dragon. Tell us a bit about the dragon.
So actually, this is something that is particularly cool. This drake that we bring with us to every single show, this is one that we brought with us to E3, to Comic-Con, and it's one of the coolest things about it, hands down to me, is that it's actually based off of our in-game assets. Yeah, so our director of art worked really closely with the company to go ahead and make sure that every little detail was right, and like the result just came out fantastic. It's been so much fun being able to bring it around.
Absolutely, we see a lot of the people who riding the dragon, taking pictures. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, and another thing you mentioned, you just mentioned that a lot of the team is actually able to attend the show. How is that? And finally being able to see the reactions of the gamers as they play it.
Yeah, you know, it's fun because obviously we love being able to bring the game out to people. You know, we've been working on this thing in quiet for a few years now, and being able to actually have the team come out here and show it to people and just go hands-on. You know, like, they're just gamers. They just want to see if it's fun or not, and it's so rewarding to us just for the folks that really spend a lot of the time, burning a lot of the midnight oil, spending all the late nights in the office building the game, to actually get to experience that hands-on. To us, it's got to be one of the coolest things.
So Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, we're going to talk about that before we get into the sequel a bit. I know every game maker wants their game to do well, but were you guys prepared for how well that game did? Like, people love the game.
Yeah, you know, honestly, we were amazed that people like spending time in Mordor as much as we did. Yeah. You know, it was so cool, I think, to see the reactions of people that really, whether they were a fan of the Lord of the Rings universe to begin with, or whether they weren't, like, just that they could find something in there to have this great personal story and connection with their nemesis. And honestly, that's something that really inspired us a lot as we moved into Shadow of War, because we knew that those personal connections and those personal stories were so important to players, so we were really thrilled to be able to patch in the Nemesis Forge update as well. That lets you bring your top follower and top nemesis from Shadow of Mordor into Shadow of War.
Awesome, that's awesome. So let's talk a bit more about the sequel, Shadow of War. What can gamers expect when they play the game this October?
You know, this time around, we basically just expanded on everything. You know, we were given the right amount of time to make this great sequel, a true sequel to Shadow of Mordor, and, you know, we basically pick up the story right where we left off after Shadow of Mordor. So it's still set in between the events of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and one of the most important things to us is the Nemesis system. That's kind of one of our key innovations, you know? And last time it was all about these epic tales of bloodshed and revenge, and this time we've expanded really significantly on that. So now all the orcs belong to these brand new tribes that are these really bespoke kind of subcultures in Mordor, and that'll affect their personality, their combat style in a lot of cases, and then we've also taken that and expanded it into followers. So now, you know, last time around in Shadow of Mordor, you dominate a guy, you can send him on missions, but this time around, he's going to remember the interactions he had with you. He's going to go, you know, you're going to be fighting tooth and nail with him side by side in these big fortress assaults, which, again, are kind of the culmination of a lot of your efforts of building this brand new army of your own. And so you get to basically go and try and assault these Nemesis fortresses, which are controlling each of the regions in Shadow of War. And it's great because the Overlord who's in it, whether he's a member of the Feral tribe or the Dark tribe or the Machine tribe, they're going to have these lasting impacts on the region. You know, it's going to change the look of the fortress. It's going to change a lot of the ambient activity. If there's a Feral tribe Overlord in charge, there could be more beast hunts going around, or just more beast activity in general. It's pretty great the way that we've actually been able to sort of expand the Nemesis system, not just to be those one-to-one stories of you and that one guy, but really impacting the whole world.
It's awesome. I got to play the game a bit earlier today over in the Xbox booth, and I love seeing the amount of characters on screen. You mentioned combat a bit. Tell us a bit about how combat has evolved a bit in this game.
Yeah, you know, obviously our combat system last time around, we did a lot of stuff, I think, right, you know, for the first time. It's really tough to get a good combat system put together like that, and our team did a spectacular job. And so this time we've expanded it so much with the skills and RPG systems as well. So this time around, you've got kind of your main core set abilities, and we've expanded on that kind of just initial gamut of skills a lot. But now each one also has 2 to 3 different upgrades you can get, so you can really dive deep into your own personal play style. And also too, then that's expanded to the loot system as well, which is something we're really thrilled about. That can really augment your play style depending on the gear you get, but also then you can hunt down different overlords and war chiefs of like legendary members of tribes to try and get the legendary sets for each tribe as well. So yeah, we've expanded a lot.
So excited. Yeah, that's one thing I noticed. Another thing that I noticed was the movement system. It was very fluid when I played earlier today. I know there were some tweaks in it. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, you know, the thing is, this time around, the world is so much bigger. We have way more regions in Shadow of War than we had in Shadow of Mordor. They're much bigger in terms of just the raw size of them, but also the verticality. There's now big ice caves that you get to run through. There's lava flows on the plains of Gorgoroth, which is right on the foot of Mount Doom. And so when we expanded the world in that way, it was pretty clear that we obviously had to make some movement abilities that would actually kind of help facilitate that. So now it's great because we've expanded a lot of You can use your focus to go ahead and actually do a sprint, or you can summon, or rather a faster sprint than you could have before. You can summon a Karagor to you whenever you want as an ability. And also too, you probably saw when you were climbing, you can go ahead and tap A to kind of shoot up buildings faster, because sometimes you're trying to climb up the tower in a fortress, or you're in the the streets of Minas Ithil trying to get out of dodge. And so also too, we've expanded on Shadow Strike too, so that how last time it was a great ability to just sort of cover some ground and teleport to another guy. Now if instead of tapping the button, you hold it down, you can actually pull them towards you as well. So you can go ahead and maybe have a fight a bit more on your own terms and everything.
That's awesome. Yeah, so another thing, I kind of noticed the voice, I recognized the voice of the main character a bit, and that is Troy Baker, of course. And I know he actually contributed more than just voice, it was a full capture. Talk to us a bit about what that means.
Yeah, Troy was obviously such a big part of our creative process the first time around on Shadow of Mordor. He really helped us make Talion who he is. And so this time around when we were working on Shadow of War, he was a really big part of our creative process, to the point where, as you just mentioned, he was actually the director for our motion capture. And so he was actually down there on the stage with Alistair Duncan, who plays Celebrimbor, with Laura Bailey, and like all these great, really well-known actors, kind of putting these scenes together. And I think it really comes out in the performance. He's been so closely connected to this project with us for so long that it was just, I think, a really natural choice for us to be like, yeah, of course, we would love to have you more involved.
Now it's coming out on many platforms, PC, PS4, Xbox One. When I was playing it, I noticed the visuals look great, and on Xbox One X, it's going to be 4K. So tell us a bit about the visual upgrades.
The thing is, the Xbox One X is obviously an incredibly powerful box, and one of the biggest benefits we have at Monolith is that we have all of our own internal engine team in-house, and so no matter what platform we're shipping it on, we can make sure that we really get the most out of every piece of hardware, and the Xbox One X is no exception. It's going to be shipping in full 4K with full HDR support, and to boot, it's also going to be a Play Anywhere title, which we're thrilled about, to really let you play where you want to play, to bring your save file with you no matter where you're at. So we're really excited about it.
So awesome. All right, so let's talk a bit about some of the sound, because I think sound really makes a game, immerses you in the game. Talk a bit about how the sound works in Shadow of War.
The thing is, it's always been, we've had the good fortune of having such a great in-house audio team, and so it's always been so important to them to make sure that they actually get the most out of every single moment. And whether that's when you swing your sword against the captain, when you're cursed and you have a different sound effect, or just trying to work hard to make sure that music is such an overall, such a transformative part of the experience. There's all these little moments that I don't necessarily notice, but when don't notice in the moment, but when I go back and watch my own gameplay, or I'm watching someone else play, there's all these moments where, when you swing your sword at an enemy overlord and there's kind of this stab of the piano keys and everything, they spend so much time and effort making sure that, it's obviously it's a visual treat. The FX, the 4K visuals and everything do a lot, but to make sure that the music is really emotional, to make sure that it's something that truly fits the Tolkien universe. It's a difficult universe to really dive deep into because it's so well storied, and it should be well defended, I think, in that way. So.
And we talked about so many changes. Let's kind of take it back onto the fan feedback from the first game. How did you guys utilize that fan feedback to make so many of these awesome changes?
Yeah, the fan feedback far and away has actually got to be one of the most important things to us. So for me as the community manager, and we've got Jared, who's our live stream host, we've got Mark, who's kind of working on our team as well. He's the marketing guy who leads us. We all spend so much time and effort digging deep into that feedback on Reddit or on forums or in IGN comments or whatever it might be. And especially as we were going in between Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, we knew that there was a lot of expectations, certainly, where if Monolith was going to make a sequel, which we're very happy to, what was it going to be? And the fun thing was going through those lists of people saying, if there was a Shadow of Mordor 2, what would be the craziest, coolest thing you would put into it? And we got to actually sit down and be like, check, 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 we're going to do all those things. And it was really nice, I think, because it was gratifying, I think, for the team to sort of dive deep into the feedback, obviously, of players just like the folks here at PAX, but for us to know that we were actually focusing our attention in the right direction as well,
Yeah, check out some of those players, yeah. So we have about a minute left. What are some of the things that you want fans who are looking forward to this game to know that we didn't kind of cover?
I think, honestly, there's just so much in there. The coolest thing, far and away, to me, is just the expansion of the Nemesis system, having these followers. As I go through my own playthroughs, I get to a point where I start to rely on my bodyguards in different regions. I get to know who they are. But also, too, I think kind of being able to start that story now in one way with the Nemesis Forge and Shadow of Mordor. I'm sure it's got to be on sale somewhere at this point. So if you haven't had a chance to play through, it's still, I think, a game that I go back and play a lot. I think it holds up great. And the Nemesis Forge is certainly a fun way to sort of bring in that guy that you just hated to death and really want to make sure that you get your final last stand against him in Shadow of War as you build your fortress, or even dominate him and add him to your army. So
Payback. All right, so we have about 20 seconds. Tell us, it comes out when the release date and the platforms once more time.
Absolutely. So Shadow of War is going to launch on October 10th, and it's going to be out on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC.
So excited. Thank you so much, Andy, for stopping by and talking to us about Shadow of War. I cannot wait to play it. Back to the rest of the show. I can't wait to see what else we have here at PAX. It's going to be great.